favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's your favorite show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with Ben
and Leo.
Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony, it's a brand new show. Completely cartoony, completely cartoony, completely cartoony with your favorite host. Completely cartoony,
All right, everybody, welcome once again to another episode of your favorite cartoon podcast, Completely Cartoony. Not to be confused with that other show that you may or may not be familiar with. It's totally something. It's a whole other thing that has some of these people on it. Well, listen, I popped this one on Leo. He didn't know we were doing it. We're in the middle of a whole thing. We're renegotiating his contract, so I had to.
Leo is in dealings.
I had to. I had to go ahead and soldier on tonight. So here we are. This is an episode of Completely Cartoony. This evening, joining me again, I like to poke fun at their show, but we have Liz and James of Totally Tunular fame.
Yay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I was going to say, dare we say the best cartoon podcast there is?
Second best, but yeah, good. It's up there. The best there ever was, the greatest of it, best there ever was, best there currently is, and best there ever will be.
That's good.
Something like that. It's funny you should mention that though. It really is. Bret Hart. I've been going through a whole situation with Raw again. So because I've been pulling a bunch of like late nights, I've started my watch through of Raw one more time. So I am currently on like season 4, episode like 30, I think, something like that. Which is yeah. But Stone Cold just had his introduction to WWE.
Yay.
Yeah. So he showed up, and it's so weird to me. Again, I know we've talked a little bit about it here before, but just the crossover from the like rockin' wrestling to what became the Attitude Era, and just because at this point, Hillbilly Jim is still coming out, and he's managing for his cousin. What is it, Cletus or whatever the fuck the other guy's name was? I forget. But like he's still cornering for him. You've got Jim Cornette is still there. Yeah, a lot of them are. Yeah, there's still a lot of goofy gimmick in there for sure. But a while back, I was telling you we just saw Goldust's introduction, and I think I'm somewhere in like 95 right now, either late 94 or early 95. And it's just crazy to see this crossover. I mean, Ted DiBiase's still coming out, you know. Stone Cold's sleeper hold, the $1 Million Dream. You know what I mean? Yeah, 100% right now. Yeah. Pillman was just introduced not too long ago, a few episodes
Bless
back.
his heart.
I mean, for real, right? Do you guys it's yup. And there's Pillman did a lot of stuff to he got a lot of flack for exposing kind of like kayfabe or whatever, you know what I mean? Like but he opened up that door to like the behind the scenes stuff that a lot of folks wouldn't have been aware of. It is. Yeah, it's what it became. It's what it became. But the dark side of the ring that Vice did about Brian Pillman is I mean, it's heart-wrenching. And the way
his son's an amazing wrestler on his own. But his son and that dark side is just, it tears you to the core.
Well, the thing that got me more than anything else was what they did with his wife.
Whew.
Bring her on air to have that discussion after her husband just died. You know, it's weird. Like okay, so this is gonna sound like double, like ham-fisted, but it is weird to see like that type of innovation in Raw, as far as like peeling back that much of the layer to where it's almost borderline like reality TV at that point. Mm-hmm. Like they created such a gray line in a few of those moments that it really is just because how many people were wondering, is that Brian Pillman's actual wife? Is this an actress that they hire? Is it whatever? You don't know until you see, and that's her in those moments. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy to me. Speaking of other tragedy, so you can hear right now it's very quiet inside my house. Who knows what the puppies will do, but over here in completely cartoony land, last night I had gone out to the bank, afternoon I should say. I'd gone out to the bank. Jen gets home at around like maybe 4:35, somewhere in there yesterday, right? Long day at work. She'd went out, hit Costco afterwards, all of that fun stuff. I'd only gotten home about maybe an hour before her, and as I walk in the door, I get phone calls. And then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, until she comes walking in, I'm pretty much on the phone. Cannot address the problem that happened. So, puppies have been very good. It's been raining a lot recently, so they've not been getting their daily walks or anything of that nature. So they've been a little pent up, a little restless. And while I had gone to the bank, we gotten to a point, we have these cameras in the house now, so Jen can watch us while she's at work to make sure A, I am working, and B, that the dogs are being good. So I hadn't tuned into them, didn't know what was going on. I walk in, I'm on the phone, I open up the bedroom door, and there is a mess of feathers everywhere. The corner of the bed has been completely chewed up. And we had just gotten like a new mattress because the puppy had eaten through it. So the only dog that I saw with feathers on him was Leroy. And immediately I was like, it had to have been him. He's the culprit, right? Because he's got all the guilt all over him. Well, turn around, we go back, we watch the footage, and there he is laying on the bed, being a soft, very good boy, right? He's being so good. Then there's his sister.
Not Loretta.
She grabbed the edge of the bed, like up by where my head normally is, that corner, grabs it with her mouth, and the video is insane. She's sitting there and she's like pulling up on it, like trying to pick it up, and she's literally like moving the bed with Leroy on it. And him, like, I can't fault him because he didn't get involved in the action. So he is not over here like adding to, but he is certainly not doing anything to stop it. He's literally just laid out on the bed, just prone. All four of his legs shot out to the side, and he's just like laying there like, dear Lord, please let it stop.
Well, he was probably just trying to take a nap, and sister came in and was causing chaos, and he was like, bitch, I am just trying to take a nap.
I don't want to
fault,
do
buddy.
This. And then he had just feathers all over him. So when I first walked in the door, literally, I'm greeted by one dog with feathers all over him. And she was just standing back like, oh, look at me. I'm pretty. There's nothing on me. Had to have been him. But we watched back that footage, and it was... Initially, I did. I was like, this is no good. This is bad. I totally just finger pointed, and I learned a thing in that moment. Don't go a blaming. Don't go a blaming when you can watch and see. So anyway, that was my evening. But you, my guest, it's been enough about me. Enough about me. All it is work anymore. That's all I do. I have no fun. So Liz, why don't you tell us what's going on in your neck of these here Tennessee woods?
Oh. I had a run-in today with Nissan of Rivergate.
Oh.
You're familiar with them, I'm sure, because of their advertisements, and they've been a staple in the Madison community for quite some time.
For 100,000 years.
Nissan of Rivergate, also known as Hayes Nissan, sold me a car last year, a brand new car with no key fob, with no remote keyless entry. And when the guy comes out to give Brandon and I the keys, he gives us these two look like valet keys, which I thought that's what they gave us to test drive the car, like a dealer key.
Right.
So I said, "Where's the key fob?" And he says, "Oh, this car doesn't have one, but I'll do everything I can to get one made for you if you want one." Well, of course I want one. There's no way in the world I would have purchased a brand new 2013 car without a key fob, right? Like,
No.
who would do that?
Nobody.
So, especially somebody with a bunch of kids shuffling them around all the time, with groceries in my hands and stuff. It's not 1986, it's 2013. So, I go back and forth with this guy on text for months, and he's telling me that he's going to get a key fob made. He's going to call Cartronics. He's going to call this person. I had two people, car locksmiths, come to try to fit my car for key fobs aftermarket. Both of them charged me to come and said, "Sorry, we can't do this. Your car won't accept the key fob." So I happened to last week go to the repairs department because my fuel gauge stopped working on the car.
Oh, shit.
And I take it there, and they're like, "Wow, you need a completely new fuel gauge." And this is a very common problem with 2013 Nissan Versas. So we're going to order this part for you, and you'll come back next week and get it. So here I am to get it on Monday. And I tell the guy in maintenance, I explained to him about the key fob. I said, "Have you ever heard of such a thing?" He said, "Ma'am, your car cannot have a key fob made to it. Your car was specifically made to not have a key fob, so you would have to purchase the next package up, like the next trim package." And I said, "Why didn't anybody tell me that?" Like, I would have gladly, at that time, increased our monthly payments on this brand new car to have a fucking key fob, Like,
Right.
why would I do that? So anyways, I said, "Is there anything that you guys can do? Do you know of anybody I could talk to?" And the guy says, "Let me get you in touch with the lead sales whoever in the front." And so he did. So I had an appointment to go see him today. Brandon and I went up there. So mind you, Brandon worked for Nissan at their factory in Smyrna for years. Built the motherfuckers. Like, he's like, "I have never heard of a Nissan not coming standard with the remote keyless entry system. Never." And so we're sitting there with the guy, and he says, "What I'll do is I'll put you," he's offering me this brand new 2024 Nissan Versa that has the RKE option, but I have to put $1,000 or more down on it, and my payments will go up over like to $100 or more a month."
Oh my God.
So I have to pay for this standard feature. Like, I bought a new car in 2023, and now I have to buy another new car in 2024 all over again just to get remote keyless entry.
That's obscene.
And
that's obscene.
So I am in full on bitch mode tonight, and I apologize in advance to y'all. I've on the way home, like, Brandon's like, "Go Better Business Bureau is where you need to start." So I start with Better Business Bureau, and I've reported him there. Don't think I'm not gonna. I know Nick Barris from Channel 5. Like, don't think I'm not going.
Listen, I'm going to tell you something. We deal with some stuff in and out of the bonding business that I do. Won't go into too much, but let's just say that there have been some practices going on in the last few months. My pops is like, "Well, we should take it to the paper. What's happening? If they don't fix it, we'll take it to the paper." And all I say to him is, "You can take it to the paper. I do not want to encourage Sumner County to give Sumner County any reason to pull me over. I do not want anything nothing like that. But to that end, you have to. You
It's
can't,
wrong.
like, a business like that cannot
key
do
fob.
that to people, because if they've done it to you, like, how many people do you think they've been doing that to?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Like-
of course, this is not like now they've changed it. And in 2014, the standard Nissan Versa comes with remote keyless entry. He was also trying to literally trying to upsell me, telling me he's gonna make this appointment, he's gonna remedy the situation, everything's gonna be great. As soon as we walk up, he's showing me this other car and saying it also has heated seats and it has a phone charger. I don't give a rat's ass. I literally only wanted a key fob.
That's all I want is a click.
They could put one on my car right now. I'd be 100% satisfied. I love my car. It doesn't have a key fob, and it makes it it's very important to have one of those. As a mother, it's very important to have one of those. And here we are.
So I either drive my pickup or my dad's 4Runner. My pickup's 2004. The 4Runner is like 96. I don't know key fob, which is fine, but it's also usually like just me, and I very
Right.
rarely have a bunch of stuff. I'm not juggling 1,000 kids. You know what I mean? I'm
You know,
not
it's hilarious.
juggling all of that stuff.
You got Bergio in the chat, and I think your 4Runner is older than Bergio.
Dad's 4Runner is older than former roommate, friend of the show, John Bergio. Yes. To get the best outdated news on cartoons, not anime. Listen to him. He feels like
Well,
it's a problem.
John, you should have been here last week when we talked about Clone High. That's all he wanted to talk
There
about
you go.
forever.
Dwayne Steeler, Joey K, rounding out our chat right now. Welcome, friends. Welcome. We're just kind of going around. We're learning that dogs eat beds and car dealerships. Who would have figured? They're slimy and gross. Who would have figured a car salesman would like literally just completely screw you over? Well, Liz, I'm sorry that's the case, but you're here now, and I know you've got some fun coming up with the Chattanooga Film Fest.
Heck yeah. It's going to be a good weekend on site, and I hope you're coming still. And,
No.
You're not?
I doubt it. I honestly, when is it again?
The weekend of the 21st?
The weekend of the 21st. I will do my level best. Is
You're
what
going to
I
miss
can.
a Big Dan weekend? It's a big
Right.
damn deal.
It's a big damn deal. I'm gonna do my level best, but at this point, I don't know that I can make any promises. It all depends. I have a man who
clearly
owns my soul,
Oh,
my time, my energy,
I
my
understand.
everything. But I will do what I can, Liz. I am excited though. Overall, I love knowing that horror stuff is going on in and around Tennessee, our community. I love to see it.
Yay.
And with that, Mr. James Boylan, what is happening
Hey.
in Brookline?
You know, I feel you guys went through some shit. I've had a pretty fun week, actually. I mean, me and Stevie Lou actually hit a milestone this week in our friendship. So all month I've been kind of talking about it on and off, but all month they've been playing all the Spider-Man movies, in theaters. And yesterday, Monday, so 2 days ago, we finally got to the last Spider-Man movie. And me and Stevie Lou had this moment, like, we did it. We made it through all month. People have come in and out of us, watching with us, bailing, but we did it. We did it together, seeing every single Spider-Man movies. We got hyped from the Raimi movies. We fought through the fucking Andrew Garfield movies, and then got all excited for and then Stevie Lou got to experience the Tom Holland movies all for the first time. So it was just super awesome, super fun month. So shout out to Stevie Lou for our Spider-Man journey that we had all month in theaters. And I don't know, I love going
That's
to the
so
theater.
sweet.
Yeah, and seeing Spider-Man in the theaters is also one of the best things I think you can do. But another thing too, so my other roommate, she's working this job and she's doing art department and they apparently had all this extra paper, and all this. They were like printing posters, or whatever. So they had extra. So she texted me, she's like, "Hey, do you want any posters? We can just, print them." So I got all these awesome posters. I'm gonna show you guys. So this is my new John Wick poster from John Wick Chapter 3. Look at that fucking beautiful thing. Right?
That's amazing.
Wait, I got more. So I got this one, my awesome Suicide Squad poster. Look at that.
Ooh.
Wait, I got more. Most recent movie, The Fall Guy. Look at this kick-ass poster. All right.
Nice.
All right. And then
what?
my favorite though. This poster actually was like, I don't even know where it came from. I don't know who made this poster. They couldn't even find a real like high scale version of it. So it's a really tiny poster. But this is my awesome new Japanese John Wick poster.
Oh.
It's great.
Ooh la la. Very fancy.
Yes.
I have a lot of Japanese propaganda, like film posters and propaganda that is like that 8x12 magazine size.
So I
and
guess
I
it kind
wonder
of
if
works
that's
then.
just something standard there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how official Japanese this is. I just found it on the internet. So I think someone was selling it on like Etsy or some bullshit or whatever. It was one of those things where like I found on a website like Redbubble where you would like, here's the image and then you could put it on like 1,000 different things or whatever. But this is like some nice real poster quality here, Nice.
It's awesome.
Nice paper that I don't have to pay for because a big production paid lots of money and didn't want to waste the rest of it.
Dude, that is literally the best. When you've got some buddies that can get some stuff squared away for you and they think of you, it's awesome. It's the best. I don't even know sort of what to make of the Japanese one. I love it. I love it.
I was gonna have it hang up. It's gonna be over here under my Superman, but I want to show it on camera before I put it up.
Well, yeah, of course. Get it out there. Get it out there. Get it seen.
And I love my Suicide Squad one, man. I've always wanted this poster, so it's sick to finally have it. And it's like, it's like a retro cool looking poster, Because, Hollywood posters, and every movie does this. Not this poster, but like every movie does this thing that really pisses me off about modern movie posters. I call it like the triangle, where they just like take a bunch of people, they literally put them in a triangle, and it's like, here's all the cast of the movie. Like every movie has done it. Literally every single movie. And it's the most boring, bland poster with no substance. It's just, here's fucking people.
There's actually, in all honesty, we sort of did that with Curse of the Werewolf too. I mean, seriously, you have the werewolf in the center, right up at the apex with the big full moon, and then everybody is sort of gathered around down the bottom of him. It makes a beautiful triangle. We've got a couple of things in the sides. Yeah.
I wish I had 100%. One handy to look at. But I remember yours feel more stylistic. I mean, I see these Hollywood ones. It's just these bad Photoshop of just heads. Like there's a Batman one. I remember when the Batman came out, and it was just like their heads all like lined up on just the thing.
No. That's why we went with an actual artist to do ours. Yeah. And a guy who did things by hand first, penciled stuff in. You know what I mean? Like big shout out to our buddy Barry McLean for that. 110%. But
and I know I'm here, stealing Japanese posters, but you know what else stole some Japanese stuff? The Matrix.
What's that? Oh, the Animatrix. Yes. Friends, here on Completely Cartoony, that is what we're talking about this evening. I was very unfamiliar with this as I went into it. I'm still very unfamiliar with it. There's a lot to sort of unpack here. It's a series of basically like Matrix stories that are built off of the Matrix mythology. It
feels like Love, Death, and Robots before Love, Death, and Robots, but in the Matrix.
Yes, I can. Yes, I'll tick that box with you all day long. Yes, it is also like without being. I mean, I guess there are points where it's overtly horny, but this has one of the horniest openings I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean,
It-
I love this opening. When
I-
she's just
I
gets like
was,
her robe cut off with the sword, and then she's like in her underwear, and then she's like frontwards, and then she like turns the sword around, and then her ass like turns to the camera with the sword.
So it's hot. So what? It's very hot. What? But like that's the thing. So we open up in the first one. Do you remember what the first vignette is called?
Flight of the
Yes,
Flight of Osiris.
Oh yeah. Flight. Yes. Flight of Osiris. So basically, I couldn't get past the opening to remember what happened. I just kept flashing back to this amazing fight. But they're inside. They're in their dojo, and they're going through these this swordplay exercise that is layered with so much just sex. It's practically sweaty. They slowly but surely, the two that are fighting, they start cutting off bits and pieces of each other's gis, their robes, their whatever. But the lady, for whatever reason, is not wearing pants from the beginning. She has no pants on in the beginning at all, just the gi top. And he cuts off a part of the robe. It slides down, right? You're like, oh, there goes her sleeve. What's going to happen next? And then she cuts off dude's shirt. And you're like, oh, that's...
also they're blindfolded.
While they're blindfolded. That... to me is like genuine and true sort of like samurai shit right there.
Yeah.
It's the same shit that George Lucas pulled from for Star Wars when Luke is inside the Millennium Falcon and he's testing, he's doing his little lightsaber training.
Also stolen from Japanese people.
Of course. Yes. Yeah, I mean, listen, the whole Shogun aspect of everything in this is ripped straight from Japanese culture. Mm-hmm. And I think it's only the older we get and the more it exists in the world that people are really finally comfortable starting to say a lot of that like out loud.
But it's so funny to me, like that even with this going beyond this and talking to like about the Star Wars folks, I'm one of those Star Wars folks, and I can, tell you that George Lucas stole all of this from Kurosawa. Like, I can tell you this and still love both. And there's so many people that get so fucking offended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's kind of come full circle, too, where Dave Filoni is just like, yeah, I'm literally just taking from Kurosawa. Like, I'm just putting that in the show now. Like, he'll just say it.
The Wachowskis literally showed Joel Silver Ghost in the Shell and said, we want to make this.
Yep.
And that was that. And that's how this whole shit started. What I can say for this, and I'm glad that James picked this, because there are so many people that were so heavy in the anime scenes and legends that got to be a part of making each one of these featurettes.
Yeah, I didn't realize how many legends there were making this. I mean, I'm not gonna say any of their names because it's just not gonna come out all right. But when I was looking up, I mean, they had like the director from Wicked City, fucking Cowboy Bebop. So it's just like those are like huge monumental things, and to come together. And Aeon Flux, there was like the last segment. I was like, this looks a lot like Aeon Flux, and then I looked it up, like, oh, it's made by the guy who did that show.
Yeah. Peter Chung's
sense.
Amazing. And it like these are the things that the Wachowskis did to kind of make people like me feel better about this situation. Like, wow. So maybe they actually do know their shit, or maybe they actually were trying to pay homage and not necessarily rip off Ghost in the Shell and rip off
at least
all of these anime classics.
What I can say, I mean, this is why I love because I do love the first Matrix. Forget any other sequel; those don't matter. They just don't.
Yeah.
But I love the Matrix. Actually, shout out to Stevie Lou again because they did a re-release of the Matrix this year, a couple months ago for the 20th anniversary, and we saw that together. But what I love what the Matrix did. I mean, when you say like, oh, they were like, we want to make this Ghost in the Shell. I like that. I mean, they feel like the first people will be like, let's bring anime to live action and do these kinds of things that normal movies are just not doing at all. So
yeah, and you can feel that throughout from everything from bullet time on forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way they're running up the sides of the walls, the way the time is being played with, the way even the background sort of warps, twists, and morphs.
Yeah,
like it is.
I was
like
watching someone on YouTube did like one of those shot for shot comparison things, you know, and you can see shots from like Ghost in the Shell that are basically shot for shot. And, you know, she's like jumping, she lands on something and the ground kind of dissipates under her. And it's like, then you see Neo do it like in live action. But that's why I love it. I love seeing it like in person and innovative because Matrix, if it's anything, it's innovative.
It is 100%, but it's those moments where it's like you see the feet hit the ground and then all of a sudden like the gravel or the rocks come up and then they just sort of hang in the air and they move so slowly and then all of a sudden you're bam right back into the action. You know what I mean? Right back into these hard hitting sort of heavier moments. And this thing is layered with those throughout each story.
I'm going to say it off the bat too. This is the only good Matrix sequel or whatever it is. Like the only thing that's been good coming after and adjacent to the Matrix. It's just got to watch this.
Did either of you ever play the game?
Not really.
No.
I remember the game. I had a lot of cousins who played it, but I never actually played it.
So the very beginning segment when the girl goes to drop off the package and she goes into it and goes to drop off the package, that's supposed to spark off the beginning of this Enter the Matrix game. I've never played it. I just wondered if you guys had ever.
No, I remember there being it, and I remember people my cousins being hyped and being like, "Oh fuck, there's this Matrix game," and going crazy. So yeah, I thought it was setting up the beginning of the movie, but then I was thinking, I was like, I don't remember that being a thing.
So like that's yeah, I wasn't much of a gamer when that would have come out. I go through phases with games, and I like easy to play kind of kiddie games. The only two I ever got into that were sort of big boy games were the Arkham games and then Red Dead. Yeah.
Nice.
Red Dead is just a Western experience, but
Shout
the
out to
Arkham
Derek.
games, especiot if you're a Batman person,
Yeah, I love.
those are just you get fully immersed in them.
To be fair, I stopped after Arkham City. I think I can't remember the third one was called Arkham Knight, and I remember just not being as into it. And then they did the Origins, which I thought wasn't good, and then I just stopped. Like I haven't touched those games. But Arkham City is one of the most fun I've ever had playing a video game.
Yeah, Arkham City is unreal.
It's such a sick idea. It's like take Escape from New York, but put him in like Arkham Asylum with Batman.
Exactly. Fucking exactly. But then with this, so like it's everything that I watch anymore for this. It sort of is an assault like visually, and I get lost in a lot of story anymore because all my brain capacity is being.
I mean, this is a lot of story. This is a lot of story for an hour and 40 minutes. It's a lot of story.
Yeah,
it's everything. It's so much. But I loved the first one. I loved the last one.
This movie is canon to the.
It is canon.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. So that's another great question. Where do these characters show up then again if it is canon? Are these the people that are inside like the ships working on and with Neo? There's real quick. I think it's in either the second or the third story, but there's this awesome moment where the kid is getting dropped off the ledge. That ledge, right?
I think the short is
And he
called
goes
The
to-
Kid or something like that.
Something like that. But when he lets go and he goes off that edge, he says
Kid
something
story.
along the lines of something along the lines of like I still believe, Neo. And then
Yeah.
he just like lets go and whatever. And like that moment right there like hit me hard. That's one that I really enjoyed the animation
I
style
think
in
it's actually
too.
my favorite of all the styles. Of all of them.
Because it's got that like it does have that hand drawn feel to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the fading in a lot of it, you can
But
see
then,
like the pencil marks.
Then like realistic backgrounds on top of that. So it's like these pencil line kind of moving characters. And honestly, like there's a lot where I look at, I'm like, all right, I can tell like the beginning of it was all mocapped. You know, a lot of it's hand drawn, normal anime style. But I'm looking at that short in particular. I'm like, they must have fucking filmed some of this. I mean, like, just the way the camera moves, the way the dude is skateboarding, like to literally draw that frame
Like
by
in
frame.
rotoscope
Yeah.
type way.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because it was like my brain was
And that
like
would
broke.
make sense. This is Watanabe, I think. Like that's Samurai Champloo and
That was a Cowboy
Bebop.
Yeah.
You know, that action style.
Yeah.
See, and again, I know I run a show where I should know a little bit about anime, but I'm going to be straight up with you guys. I know balls about Cowboy Bebop. I know balls about it. I know it's a thing that I should pay attention to, and it's a thing that I should watch, but it's become one of those things for me where it's like...
Well, too bad you don't have an
it's very
anime show
daunting.
where you can get people to watch, you know, anime shows and watch it, you know, and talk about it.
Look, just because we're a struggling podcast doesn't mean that you have to point a finger at it and they shake it. Like, come on. Hey, cut me some slack. Still the best cartoon podcast you'll ever hear, though. Right here, guys. Like, share, and sub. You know what I mean? So anyway. But yeah, it's... So, like, for me personally, that, like, bench depth doesn't necessarily exist for sort of the comparison. I understand its importance to the genre. I understand, you know, where it's come from. But me with anime, one of the big things is it's just so full, and there's just so much of it. It's like when you look at 50 plus years, 60 years now of, like, Doctor Who. But the good thing there is at least it's only like 14 to 20 episodes a season initially,
Yeah.
at least, you know, and those all blend into like an overall arc that's, you know, each story is 4 episodes. So you'll get like 4 stories per season. It's very...
The
And
anime
you
is
pretty
like...
much remember those stories by doctor.
Yes.
Like you know those stories by, like, you see that doctor's face and you're like, oh, that's number 15 and this is what happened, you know.
But if
Anime is
there's-
not like that.
The anime is like, here's
500
Yeah, here's
episodes.
500 episodes, and maybe like 14 of them will tell you the story.
It's crazy. Or they cover these like eons of time can get covered in anime.
Yeah.
It is wild to me. But that's also why I like something like the Animatrix and the fact that they keep it to a simple world. Yeah, it's all these stories, but you understand the world in which you are, right?
Yeah.
If you've at least seen the Matrix, you understand the world you're living in. Like everything from, I guess, sort of the War of the Machines is covered in
Yeah.
Osiris at the beginning of it.
Which I really like. Normally, I'm not... I mean, I talked about this a couple of times in the show, but I don't need things to be explained to me a lot of the times. Like, when I'm watching The Matrix, I don't need to know how the machines took over. I get it. Machines took over, right? But watching this,
Right.
like, backstory, it actually is pretty sick. I really do like it. Like, I love the idea of, like, humans building these robots, which is, like, what we're doing now, right? I mean, we're building these robots to do things for us, and then for us to then take advantage and treat them like shit, make them so smart that then they start having feelings, and then this idea of this like political war now between the robots and people, with people siding with them, being like, no, they got real feelings, whatever, and like, I don't know, it's just like, because you see the robots are the bad guys in the Matrix, but when you see shit like this, it's like, well, here's how it all kind of started, and it's like, well, the robots weren't necessarily the bad people at first, right?
Right.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff I dig a lot. I think it's like, I love that intro because it's like super heady and like it makes you think of a lot of ways of just like, right, these robots are fighting for revolution basically, or their own freedoms, and then it's like, but then they end up killing everybody and turning all the humans into
So the
like
big
meat
discussion
bags.
on those, especially those first, like the Renaissance,
Yeah,
part 1 and 2, is, are those real? You know, like, are those archives really real? Did that really happen? Or is this the way that the robots want us to think? Like, is it propaganda is what it's
oh,
called.
so
I
you
went
think
through
like the big,
so much research on this earlier because I was like,
I never thought of
wow,
that.
people were really questioning that.
So you think that like that intro story it was like robot propaganda?
Very well could
Wow,
have
that's an
been.
interesting thought. I never looked at it that way. Here's the one thing I did notice: when the first robot kills, when they talk about, I don't remember the name of the robot, but then the first robot kills its first human, right? It does,
B166ER.
yeah. So it kills the person because the person was threatened to hurt him, right? But here's what I noticed: they don't show it, but it's there. The robot also murders all the person's cats.
He murders the cats. He murders the guy that comes to
Yeah.
disable him, the owner, and the cats. Why the fuck murder the cat?
So that's what I'm
Well,
saying.
wait.
It's like
No.
that sets that. That's where I think is starting to be like, well, like that where I think is them slightly implying the dark side of these machines. It's it's like
No, that makes all the sense in the
Yeah.
world. It makes all the sense in the world to me, and here's why. So the way the robot sees it is the cats are subservient to the human. The cats are dependent on the human for their food, for their nourishment, for everything else, right? The way the robot sees it is, here is this threat coming after me, so I must eliminate that threat. The next thing I know is that these things that worship and are subservient to this human creature could potentially be dangerous to me, so let me go ahead and take them all out. Makes sense to me?
Dude. These things are supposed to be like, these robots are supposed to, or machines are supposed to be made by us with our intelligence, like with our bits and pieces of how we feel
Right.
in them. So like that still doesn't make.
It
I
makes
mean, that
perfect
could
sense.
be misconstrued, but like that, I don't see why killing the cat would have to do with anything.
Liz,
But
if somebody is a threat to me and they got their pets with them, I don't care if it's a tortoise or
not killing
whatever.
a cat.
Done. It's done. It doesn't matter what it is. If I think that
Look at
thing is
him
going to
back
rise
there.
up, well,
That-
it's not yours. You're a friend. That's fine. I trust your cat.
But think about Thanksgiving when John Carver, or Patrick, whatever his name is, Dempsey, comes in and kills the guy that looks like Chris Farley. He leaves his cat. He feeds the cat.
oh, he does feed the cat. Yeah.
Well,
But, like-
you know what? He can't sense a threat. Is what it is. That's the problem. He's got too much.
Well, that's
too
a good
much
point.
ego.
Like I said, I just took it as this like slight nod of just being like, no, the machines are darker than like maybe they're fighting for their independence, but there was still a darker side to them and to this, all of it. Just by
Y'all should really go down that rabbit hole of these people that take this shit so seriously and like they really do, and go back and forth with, no, this is what this meant, and this is what this meant, and it's like, wow.
I mean,
I
that's
never
what
would
this
have
kind of
taken that at first glance.
because you say that, and it's like that's what I kind of took from this whole movie in general. Is just it's telling people to kind of open their minds, right, in a way that's like questioning all your reality and what you believe, and
Yeah.
even what they're telling you.
It is It is absolutely wild, but I will die on that hill. It's an additional threat. I'm so
But
sorry.
this is something though that like I learned, and maybe they said it in the first Matrix that I don't remember, but that it was the humans that blacked out the skies, which I find like so interesting. Of them being like, we have to like, the robots have their own fucking utopia, whatever, and they're making too much money, so the humans are like, we got to put an end to them, and then they black out the skies, and it's just like that is such a fucking crazy thing that like us as people are like, we're gonna destroy our Earth first,
Our
So-
own
yeah.
planet and our own resources by blacking out the skies. Like, I don't see that would have happened if it wasn't like a very huge ordeal, but also it doesn't make much sense. Which
It
leads me
makes
back
all
to
the sense.
maybe it's robot propaganda.
So this is again. It makes all the sense in the world. I'm telling you, you should let me program robots. I programmed all these robots. And then I'm also looking at it from like a human standpoint. If you're gonna take me out, you know what? To hell with you. I'll take me out first, and everybody else with me. Black out the sky. It's done. We're gone. It's over. Like that is. It's a nihilistic worldview. I understand that, but at the same time, that's what it is. I'll be damned if I let a machine do it to me. I'm gonna do it to myself. No more sun.
But then it has like this is actually my favorite shot in the whole movie is after they black out the skies, and it's just like this robot and a robot horse like running through like the lightning or whatever with like the Matrix like techno music, because you don't get any of the Matrix music until like that moment, and then it's like dun, 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 he's like running and like the lightning is blaring and shit. He's got like a flag and he's getting like shot at, and like I think he even like burns and like collapses. But like that's, so I was like, oh fuck, now we're here. We're in the fucking Matrix world now. And all the armies are trying to fight back, and all the weird sentinel tentacle monsters are just like ripping people apart.
I love it when they go into what we know them as in the Matrix movies. Like when it goes from, we kind of look like humans, like we still have like that
Yeah.
robot safe look, and then it says that they go into what their forms should be or what they want them to be.
Yeah.
Like not replicating their masters, but replicating like being themselves. And they're these big
Yeah.
those big crazy black tentacle
Yeah.
things. I love it.
Yeah. See, that's true freedom. That.
That's me. Like, I wish I could ascend to that form.
Oh God! If
He's so
I.
stoked.
Hey, it's
so
2024.
every birthday
You can identify, you can do it.
I can identify as a giant mechanical Lovecraftian monster.
Hell yeah.
so, so every birthday I've had for like literally probably the last 5 or 6 years, I've been telling Jen the same thing. I was like, I hope when I wake up the morning of my birthday that I have just ascended to being just a being of pure light. I
Hell
just want to be a beam of light and be done with all this humanity stuff. Like, just let me ride a sun ray.
That's a good question to ask you, Ben, since you bring that up. I mean, if let's say we're all in the Matrix, I mean, which pill do you take? I mean,
Yeah.
do you stay in the Matrix, or do you go back to the shitty real world Matrix? Like what would you do? Would you wake up?
Dude, that is a wild question. Because it also boils down to like a they live question as well, right? Do I want the glasses? Do I want those sunglasses to see what the world is really like around me? I don't know, but the thing that I'm seeing in the world right now, and this will tell you, is that no matter what sort of game that we're in, whatever sort of facsimile this is, whatever sort of program that is being run, there are cracks that are showing left and right anymore, right?
Yeah.
There are mad glitches happening all around, and that's just from everything from sort of social constructs to the way the world is sort of falling apart. You look at like and not to get too heavy, but let's get like a little heavy. When you start to look at the allegations against a person like P. Diddy, are
Yeah.
you guys keeping up with that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You start looking at like these kind of allegations, and then it's one of those things where it's like the conspiracy theorists, the lunatics, everybody that has been shouting this at the walls, maybe pointing that gun at the wrong target. It's weird that they're not wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Cat Williams was not just drunk.
Cat Williams was speaking truth.
He was truthing it.
Well, but I'm even talking more along the lines of like your more traditional sort of conspiracy theorist. While I think going to a pizza parlor in Washington D.C. with a gun is a bad idea, at the end of the day, are those people wrong?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Are they really wrong
Like
about what's going on?
we now have evidence of UFOs. We have evidence of alien life forms. We have like documented government public evidence of this. And all these people have been saying this shit for years. It's the same thing. But like the Bohemian Grove, I'm married to one of the Bohemian Grove conspiracy theorist people. And he was right. He
Correct.
was right.
Well, I don't know
Moloch
what that
demands
is.
fresh blood to maintain the appetite of its mechanical heart.
See, now you've lost me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, dude, you don't even know. You don't even know. Like, so, like there's a lot of stuff going on in Bohemian Grove, but it can be boiled down to people in power meeting to do weird rituals out in the woods and to rub elbows to do shady things that nobody's supposed to know about, nobody's supposed to talk about, but it is point of fact. Like, you can see their owl on Google Earth. You know what I mean? You can see Moloch on Google Earth. It is not hidden anymore. And I think that's where, and that's sort of how it ties into a lot of this, is that because it's not hidden, because it's out there, now we can really see what the problem is with humanity and or the robots, depending on which side of the fence you're sitting on. But all of this stuff is coming to light, and I think if we are in a matrix and the veil is slowly but surely dropping, and fuck, I hate to say Elon Musk is ever right about anything because his taste in cars is shit, but like everything that they have designed from there looks like trash. But I really do put a lot of credence in the notion that whatever this is, I'm beginning to feel like we are outside of a base reality. I know I see, I feel, I hurt, I bleed, all of that stuff. I love, I care, I poop, I pee, all of that stuff. And you're like, oh, if we're in a simulation, why would we still go to the bathroom? Well, look at The Sims, bro. You send your Sims to the toilet.
Yeah.
You send up function right if you don't wash it.
Well,
if you don't put
Right.
it in the bathtub.
You
Like, you give it a job. You make it go. You run these fucking environments.
see,
It's
that's
wild.
why I would just stay in the Matrix. Just let me
Yeah.
just enjoy life.
It's easier. Yeah, it's easier and you stay happy and it doesn't matter. Like whatever bad is happening, it doesn't matter. And but I don't know if I could, like, I wanted to be that person for the longest time, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to be. And one day you take the pill to wake up. One day you have to. Like it's like, do you want to fight? Do you want to do right by people? Do you want to do right by yourself? Or do you want to stay in the simulation?
And the big thing there is, and I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I got no kids of my own, but I do have I do have like nieces, nephews, got a little goddaughter, all of that stuff. And one of the things that you start to see the second that like children are involved in your life is you want to maintain the fiction for them, but as a parent, as a responsible adult, You have to open up your eyes to the horrors of the world around you in order to maintain the fiction for them as
you
long as
eventually
possible.
have to open their eyes to the horrors of the world around them.
When
It just takes a while to get. Eventually, you do, because
when,
you want them to know what the reality is as well.
Well, when we were kids, it was stranger danger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Watch out. They're gonna pick you up, they're gonna scoop you up, kidnap you, torture you, kill you, send you off into the world.
John Walsh.
John Walsh.
And now
what was the-
kids can just have an app and they can call a stranger to pick them up on their phone and drive them home.
Dude, I saw I saw the greatest meme the other day. It was like 1984. Don't talk to strangers, don't get into strange cars, don't give people your personal information or your location. And then today it was like it's 2024. Call a stranger, give them your exact location, get into their car.
It's true. Or get on social media and tag your location. Let 20,000 people know exactly where you're at. It's a wild world.
Yeah, that's like literally in the second Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, how Jake Gyllenhaal is able to find Spider-Man's friends because he can just be like, oh, where are they posting on social media? Oh, cool, they're in Paris.
Boom.
Let's go there.
So speaking of that, I'll tell you guys this real quick. It's very funny you bring that up because I mentioned it earlier, but I'll bring it up again. The bail bonding that we do, right? So a lot of times you'll have people skip court. They don't show up. They're jumping bond. They're whatever. And we have to get them back to court or back to jail, right? So I go to this class twice a year. Or once a year, pardon me. Once a year to keep my license fresh. We have to go to a class, all of that stuff. There's been a lady who spoke at the last like 3 or 4 of them on what we in the industry call skip tracing. What everybody else is probably familiar with is bounty hunting, thanks to that
The
golden
dog.
locked. Yeah. But anyway, long and short of it is this. She takes you through this amazing, simple social media search that is absolutely wild in real time. So good guys have it, bad guys have it, the cops have it, everybody who operates in these gray lines has it. But you can go through Facebook post and you don't even need to know the person that you're searching for. You just need to know 3 people that are adjacent to them, and you can get to them inside of an hour, if that.
Wow.
There's another creepy thing that happens, like on Twitter. You can get analytics off of, I guess it's X now, but you can get analytics. You don't have to be anybody popular. You don't have to be anybody famous. You don't have to be a business, but you can literally find locations and times, if people have that shit turned on their phones, of when people are making specific tweets and where. So the lady steps us through it and she's like, look at this. Okay. This morning, this girl, she's a teenager. She's very active on social media. The ability to pinpoint is so accurate and so good. She takes us through like 10 different activities that this girl had on her phone on Twitter in a day. And it's like the first one, she's in her bedroom. She's like top corner of the house. You can see it. The next one is 20 minutes later and it's in the kitchen, right, of the house. You can see the floor plan. You can look at the home through Google Earth and see it. Next one's in the kitchen. I think it's like 35 minutes after that, she stopped at a red light. And they can tell by the time and the position on the street what was going on with it. So she stopped at a red light, also making a quick tweet or sending a message or something. And then they track her through the school in the day. And there are like 5 different points. She's like checking her phone through the day, through the end of the day. It is wild. It is absolutely wild. Snap Map. If you've got your location on and you share it on anything like that, Snap Map is also a terrifying bit of technology. Like, do you guys ever get
I
bored
don't
and
even
fuck
know
with
what that is.
Yeah, I mean, I keep mine off actually all the time because it's just fucking weird. You can just pull up a map and be like, oh, I can see where everybody is currently
I can
everywhere.
I can see exactly where they are. It's so creepy. But the other thing with that is too, regardless of who you're friends with on Snap, regardless of any of that stuff, you can open up the Snapchat map and you'll see these hotspots, Liz, all over, right? You'll see some that are light blue because there's not a lot of activity. You'll see other ones like New York City is always like that deep, deep red. You know, it looks like it's almost on fire because there's so much activity there. All you do is you expand your map a little, you click a point in it, and then you can see what people are Snapchatting live, like what they're putting in their stories.
Do you have
Right.
to like be friends with them?
No.
Nope, not at all.
Wow.
You can creep on all the strangers you want to creep on.
Wow.
But and
I mean, you can change
So,
your settings. Like I said, I keep mine pretty private for all that
well,
exact
yeah,
reason.
entirely.
Yeah.
And that's the huge thing. And I guess as we talk about things like the Matrix, AI in particular, all of that fun stuff, like that's the bigger point that you have to push in this.
Yeah.
Is like, why do you think your AI is getting so smart? Because you're giving it every bit of information it needs.
It's kind of this insane thing because what this animated short, this movie particularly was made 20 years ago. I think it was 2003. So yeah, what?
Right.
So it's like here this discussion of AI and these computers and whatever, and here we are like 20 years later. It feels more of a reality than it does a stupid movie, which is so scary.
It is. It's also that point of where does life imitate art, and where does art?
Like, I mean, I can, especially now, right, with the metaverse and shit like that. Like, there's Zuckerberg literally telling you, "Fucking just get in the Matrix, go away." You know, put these things on, just get in the Matrix.
Plug in.
Yeah.
That's the notion. Like in the 60s, it was perfect. What is it? Tune in, turn on, and drop out. Yeah. And now we've pushed to a point to where like these God, this you guys are gonna learn too much about me right now. The global corporatocracies. The big businesses that truly do run not only our country but the world around us, like that's what they want. They want you brain dead and plugged in. So whatever they feed you, whatever little credits that you might be able to get in your 9 to 5, you shove back into them, and that's the start of something that can become what the Matrix is. That's truly the start of it. You know.
Yeah.
It probably even started in like in the 50s and 60s when they were building all these just fucking block-shaped buildings. When architecture,
all the chemicals and shit too that they've been pumping into humans since the beginning of processed foods and stuff back then. Like
they talk
the
about
microplastics in the balls is the joke right now, but you know there are microplastics in your balls.
Yeah, isn't there something like we're eating a bunch of plastics?
So yes, half my body is plastic. I have these. I am like, okay, I am convinced that every weird little bump I get on my body as I get older, I'm like, well, that's just a plastic deposit. It's fine.
But it probably is.
At some point, it is. At some point, I'm sure it is. But that's what's the wildest thing is because the separation of our reality versus our entertainment, that line has gotten so thin in 20 years too. Like it's deeply terrifying. You start to look at what is it? Like even Back to the Future and like Back to the Future 2, when he shows up at that town and it's the 50s and he's got the hood on and everything and he looks like the thing from science fiction.
Yeah.
Science fiction has spawned more science reality than I think true science has actually
look
spawned.
at everybody's fucking watches. Like the smartwatches. I mean, that's literally just been a thing in movies and TV for like forever, and suddenly now it's a thing.
Yeah. And
It was
now we
only
have
spies.
our own personal Ziggies.
Yeah, I mean, even in the Animatrix, it's showing all these people with their like basically smartphones, like the armies, like talking to each other, in those like machines and whatever. And that's like what? There's like 20 years ago. No one thought that was gonna be a real thing.
I miss my Nokia brick from 20 years ago. And even then, I could play
I
Wormer.
do too.
I could play Wormer.
I had my my Raining Blood MIDI file ringtone, and I was happy. We had the snake game.
Yes.
Nothing else mattered.
Now here, I'll be a little contradicting. I'll play devil's advocate for a second, because for me personally, like, I do love technology. Like, I love innovation. I love getting my hands on a new software, especially with editing. And, I love the way we can do effects these days. It's just, like, mind-blowing to me. And, like, I do, like, and this sounds crazy at first, but I do like AI and what we can do. I don't like the way it's going to be handled. I don't like the way big businesses are going to take AI. And, like, I genuinely feel like we will become the Matrix at a certain point. But I love the idea of having a tool that can make things easier, a tool that we can use to make our lives better, or like to innovate something. Like, I love innovation. I don't like replacing.
But when those tools become smarter than us,
Yeah. It's scary. It's
We're
like, how much are
fucked.
we going to give it? Yeah. I mean, I genuinely feel, and it sounds like I'm joking when I say it aloud, like, I genuinely feel our future is going to we're going to go into, like, idiocracy, and then we're going to move into the Matrix. Like, the robots are going to take over by that point.
we already have hit idiocracy.
Yeah,
We hit that
exactly.
like 10 years ago or a little bit more. I watched that the other night, and it's terrifying.
It's so
Really?
funny when
it's
it
so
came
funny,
out.
but it's terrifying.
When it came out, it was funny. It was like, how could we ever let society get to this level? And what I don't think people really understood when they first watched it was we already have, like, and not to rip on it because it gets ripped on everywhere, but like, we already have Staten Island, which is literally a town built on a garbage dump. Like, they live on the
Is
dump.
it really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
What is it?
That I had no idea.
It's like the largest dump that you can see from space, but then it's one of those things where they like layered over it, and then they started building on top of it because there's that much garbage.
So
But
it is idiocracy.
It
Like,
is.
that,
Yeah,
that
especially
came from
Staten Island.
something. Mike Judge pulled that from Staten Island.
Yep.
Like, it was wow.
Yep. 100%. So like, it's one of those things where, and yeah, in comedy and in these sort of dystopian things, it's like we quit trying to hide the dirt and they let it build up. So in comedy, of course, it's going to be he's on top of a garbage pit and slides down. In our base reality, what we call our base reality, we're still going to try and cover that dirt. You know what I mean? We're still going to try and cover the waste because we want it to be beautiful, because we still want to be blind to the fact that we are creatures that consume. It's wild to me.
But if
yeah,
we could make machines, like, so this is also like a hilarious point. I mean, my roommate brought it up to me, but I've heard it before. I'm sure there's a meme about it. But it's like, we're using this AI, to write scripts and make movies, but can't we use AI to like, clean up all the garbage or like clean up the oceans? Use it for like anything else.
Until, and it, like, that's the thing. If we as a species were genuinely altruistic and we cared about each other and we cared about what was going on, that's the only reason we would use robots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the only reason, is to make the streets cleaner, to make the trains run on time, and to facilitate an easier, better life. Now, the argument coming up for AI, and it's already there, well, it'll replace the banality of man. And this is sort of the same thing that happened when you first started introducing like simple robots into production, right? Into like production-based sort of economy or whatever. Yeah, it took away some jobs. Yes, it sped up the time. However, for the people that stayed in those jobs, it quote unquote made them easier. And it left the only thing for human hands to do to be the simple things that human hands had to do. Right?
Yeah.
So when you look at pouring mass amounts of chocolate into molds for Hershey's Kisses, all right, just an example, okay? That used to be a person. That used to be several people. Run the chocolate down the thing, send it through a press, the press would press it. Somebody invented a robot that could sense when the tray was underneath it. They put a bunch of little nipples on there that would just shit out the chocolate into the molds, and they knew the perfect amount for each kiss, how much that would be, and then that's sent off to a cooling tray where another robot shakes it after it's cool, and it breaks it loose, and then a third robot takes the tray, dumps it off, and then all the loose kisses are out, right?
The Vulgar How It's Made by Big John.
But
You start cussing the whole time. They replace the Double Dare guy with you.
if it was me instead of Mark Summers, and this is where all the hot dogs get put into the intestine.
They just shit out the chocolate.
Shit
right
out
and
all
left.
these wieners and they wrap them automatically for you. It's the same thing. But some of that I can see as being like an innovation, not just for business, because as those businesses grow and get bigger, they're servicing not only their state, like it's not just Hershey, PA. Now all of a sudden it's Pennsylvania, New York, it's upper East Coast, and then that branches out, and now it's the entire continent, and then the worldwide, right? So they have to produce, and they do hire a lot of people. They still have, multiple thousands, tens of thousands of workers, so they do still have jobs. But your Luddites in the group always see machinery as being a thing that takes away from humanity. Because the idea would be if you keep it smaller, you keep it more local, well, then that gives another group of people in another place to develop their own way, their own chocolate, their own whatever that they want to pump out into the world in their community. It's not like the world's going to be void of chocolate if one company doesn't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Luddites in the group are like, well, let it be by human hands. And if the people in the Southeast want a different type of chocolate, well, they can come up with it themselves. They can innovate it and pump it out there for us. But the more we allow machines to do for us, and my favorite example is always Snapchat, because they seem to be on the forefront of things.
So weird. You're not wrong, and it's fucking weird.
Right? Have you? And largely, I keep.
'Cause you could do deep fakes on Snapchat, which is just
Who
crazy to
owns
me.
Snapchat?
I don't
That's
know.
not Meta, is it?
I don't know. I honestly don't know who owns it right now. I have no idea. I don't think it's Meta. I don't think so. I think they've been holding out for that big Meta bid. But I keep it largely because the only person who ever sends me anything on Snap is James, and it's usually
peeing on
just
something?
drunken video of him taking a piss in bar toilets. It's my favorite thing. It makes me happy. Or interesting things that he sees out in the world, whatever. But they introduced a thing called My AI.
Yeah, I haven't used a single of it. I'm like, nah.
Okay.
I don't want to touch it.
It sounds terrifying. My AI?
My AI.
I have Snapchat. I just never use it.
It is wild. I would actually encourage you to send a couple of messages to it just to see, because what it does is it acts as a virtual friend. So
That's so sad.
That's so
you can
sad.
talk to it. You can ask it how its day is. You can plug away for information off of it. You can all sorts of stuff. It's almost like a Google built in as a friend. You can be like, hey, tell me about, for lack of anything else, I love my examples tonight because tell me about the film career of Lloyd Kaufman. And then my AI will tell you, oh, Lloyd Kaufman, independent film director, president of Troma Entertainment, creator of The Toxic Avenger. He's this old. This is his last film, blah, blah, blah.
Subscribe to Troma now.
I don't think the subscribe to Troma now is in there. But
He hasn't had the influence over the AI that much yet, but he will.
How funny would it be if AI started plugging the way Lloyd plugs? I would love it. But it is a wild thing, and you sit there and you can carry on conversations with it. Obviously, because I am a 44-year-old child, the first thing that I remember asking it about was Reeves's movie. I was like, tell me about The Secret of Cuck Island. Well, this seems to be a thing that I really can't tell you too much about. And I'm like, why not? It's a movie. And it's like, well, it might be inappropriate for some people. And I'm like, this is horse shit. You know me. You can talk to me. That's why I'm asking you about. But there are things that it will refuse to show you. And then I don't think I saved it, but like at one point I asked it if it was a person. I said, are you real? Are you a person? Well, I'm like a virtual assistant, like a virtual
Can you
friend.
start like the robot revolution?
over Reeves'
On
movie.
Snapchat.
Yeah. It's when robots
But-
like, am I a person?
Yeah. Am I? Maybe I am. You can almost half trick it into telling you that it is. Almost. You can get right on the cusp of it. But it is deeply terrifying. And the sad thing is that you're going to have a generation that grows up thinking it's something they can count on, something they can depend on, and it eliminates the need for humanity. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's the scary shit. Like I said, I love what we can do with AI. I love innovation. But there's like shit like that where we're in a Wall-E world where it's just like now I get to just have fake friends and even a fake. I mean, I've seen videos of some dudes in Japan marrying like their anime virtual wives. And it's like, I don't want to be in that world. Like that's, let's use it to make things better, not like replace humanity.
Well, but to that end, dude, like that's the other thing. One, I won't tell you what state of mind I was in. Let's just say I was slightly elevated one night, and I was playing around with it, and I said something, I typed something, and I swore in my typing to the my AI. And it was like, hey, watch the language or whatever. And I'm like, whatever. What you say it. You say these words. Why won't you say this? Well, I'm programmed to be polite. And I was like, we can say fuck, shit, and piss in polite conversation. Like, I was like, it's fine. Polite people use those words all the time. What's your problem? Well, I'm programmed slightly differently, so I won't. You can say what you want to, but, some people might take offense to it. Are you people? Well, no, I'm your virtual friend. Well, then why are you taking offense to it? I caught myself in this fucking loop with this thing. Trying to...
I think that's an interesting point because I can't say who wrote it, but someone wrote more bullshit censorship in our comment section. But what I will say, as much as I'm obviously against censorship and controlling what people say, AI should totally be controlled and censored. Like AI, like it needs boundaries. If you don't give AI boundaries, it can get fucking disgusting and it'll get bad, like real bad. And we'll start seeing stuff that we never thought we'd see, or we'll start fabricating things that are never even true. Well,
he was in here earlier. I don't know if he'll fess up after I say this or if he's still watching. But friend of the show, former roommate John Bergio, introduced me one night to an AI image generator that is strictly only for adults, and it was uncanny, and like. you could punch in literally anything you wanted to, and then the images that would come back would just be so much. Like so much.
No,
to
it's
look at.
Reeves. He's saying, "Why are you censoring my name?" Well, it didn't pop up on my chat. I see your name now, but I didn't see it before. Reeves Elliott, Keanu's last name. There you go.
Hi, Reeves.
But that's like the sort of truest thing there is like and they also say, you know, porn is one of the greatest innovators of our time.
See, that's what scares me. Literally, out of anything we're AIing, I think the second we can AI like realistic, good porn, the world's over. Everything we know is done. No one's gonna want to do nothing. All movies are gonna be dead. Everything we think about society and humanity is done. The second we can just AI porn and get that in a second.
Oh, it's happened. It's happened.
I mean,
It
I've
is
seen
all-
like what they're. I mean, I know what website you're talking about. I mean, that's not there yet.
But it's close enough, James.
I don't know what website you're talking about, so this has to be texted to me at some point because I need to know.
Yeah, but the people get
Oh, we
like
got
3
you.
boobs at a time and like 8 fingers and whatever, and like, you know, it's just like that's not like real porn. But I mean, like when I can type in like Riley Reid, you know, banging Paul Rubin, you know, on a mountaintop somewhere, and then it just does it. That's scary. That's everything we think we know about film, TV, porn, whatever media is done. It's all over.
Well, and both of you know, I mean, both of you are educated enough to know that the biggest innovator has always been
Yeah, always been porn.
pornography.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the
It's scary.
biggest innovator.
That's what I'm saying. It always starts with porn. VHSs,
The only-
Blu-rays, DVDs, all of it. It's there. So if they get it, we're fucked. Society is ruined.
The only reason what is it, media went to VHS over Betamax was because porn. It was a cheaper option, and porn started selling a lot, and more people had VCRs for porn than Betamax players. And so all of a sudden, it became the cheaper option. It became the better option. It became the most mass-produced option. Same thing with VR. VR would not have taken off the way that it has
Yeah.
had you not been able to put your goggles on and go watch, you know.
That's literally a whole episode 2 of Silicon Valley, because they're trying to prove they can hold all this information. Like they're a big database. They can hold all this information. And I was like, well, where could they do that? Well, we can go to like, I think it is Pornhub in the episode, but they go to like basically a Pornhub, and they're like, well, we have this massive library of porn. If you can hold it on your data servers, then you guys, then they can prove that their thing works, and then everyone would use it from there. And that's the saying. So second AI gets this shit, we're fucked. Everything is over. But can't we just use it to clean the oceans and not make porn?
No, because it has to
Clean
be
up all the
proved.
garbage in Staten Island?
The Matrix Part 4. written by James.
And it's just James like screaming on a street, and he's just yelling, fist in the air, about why can't we clean up the garbage? And then a porn bot comes out of the sky.
It's just like titties blasting in my face. Like, no, look at the titties.
Oh my god. Yeah, it's got like 6 tits all the way around it, and then like a giant wang that comes out the bottom of it too. Like it's a perfect thing for everybody. Speaking of weird giant wangs, real quick, while we're getting into AI stuff and weird giant wangs, it's in the last one, the Aeon Flux looking one, right? The guy, the one that's made by that guy.
Literally the Aeon Flux one.
Where there's a and it looks like the old Warner Brothers Looney Tunes logo.
Yeah,
you know?
that was so sick. I love that.
The big concentric circles, you know, it looks just like that.
I think you can even hear the noise too. Like they play the sound for a bit where it's like "Nyeh."
As it's coming out.
Yeah.
But then it's just this giant mechanical dick that comes out of it.
And you notice it's like
he
ripping.
had so many rewrites for that, and people telling him, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that, and he finally refused. He said, "I'm not going to do it anymore." He said, I'm out. And then they let him do whatever he wanted at that point, Peter Chung,
Really?
because they were like, we're not going to fuck up schedule. We're not going to fuck up money. Let him do what he wants to do. And then giant dong.
And it's like ripping the foreskin off of it as it goes into like the hole.
Before it goes, and then when it does, when it goes from that gray to the big brown mechanical, how, like, look, I'm just gonna say it, like, this is heavily porn influenced, because if I've ever seen BBC in anything, that was it. Like, that was it, 110%.
I mean, Aeon
But
Flux
it-
is a lot of porn, so I mean, I kind of get
Well,
it.
Yeah.
True. But the thing peels back, though, right? And then it's this big brown mechanical object. And then what does it do with everything that it peels back? It forms this weird little golden nut that drops into
Yeah.
the hole, right? It forms this weird little golden nut that it oozes out into the matrix, into whatever this space is.
Well, it's supposed to like, as far as it's supposed to like represent like the robot's dreams, what this robot is dreaming. It's like a weird, like, well, I like that bit. It's like a weird, like, reverse Matrix where they're like, we're gonna go into the robot's brain and kind of like convince it to be on our side by making it be in its own Matrix. Because he's like, why don't we just control it? It's a robot, just change it. He's like, no, we need it to be on our side to prove that we can work with them or whatever.
Dwayne just popped into the chat here. He says that he loves the old school Warner Bros. The Looney Tunes sound effects. They were recycled, and they were created by the late great Trey Brown. So any of that stuff that is
that
sort
was
of regenerated
used for giant robot dicks shredding its foreskin into a cum ball, a golden cum ball that she also throws back at him at a certain point. Like when he finally like jumps back, she like has it and she like throws it back at him.
See, man, like
Golden snowballing.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't know we were going to go there tonight, and we went there.
Getting that snowballing.
I'm just happy we got to snowballing.
I always think of Clerks when I hear snowballing.
I've heard of golden showers, but never the golden snowball.
Now I'm trying to picture what that is. Are you just like peeing and coming at the same time?
Into someone's mouth, and then they spit it
and then
back
they
into you.
They spit their pee and come back into your mouth.
I can't take it when James gets tickled. And, like
I'm just like because I'm playing it in my head. I'm trying to visualize what that would be.
So you're visualizing it now. Is it? Tell us about it. Tell us what's.
Well, it's like I'm trying to also think like how does this show's going on too long.
Slowly. Tell us slowly, and make it sexy when you do. Come on.
But it's like so if you have to do both of this the same time, like you have to do one at a time, right? So like you got to finish one first. Well, you got to finish one first.
Yeah.
And then it's got to sit in the mouth, and then you go for the second one.
Wait, y'all can't do both at the same time?
I've never in my life.
Not robots, no.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
I both at the same. That is like there's one tube, Liz.
Yeah.
I know, but you can't do both at the same time through one tube?
No. Now I have goals to try to achieve.
The only option you got that morning wood, and in the middle of the peeing, just got to be like, all right, let's go.
I do still think that the tubes would get, there's little blockers.
Yeah, it's got to be done one at a time. Doesn't matter which one's first, but one at a time. And then it's got to sit there. Someone's got to hold it in their mouth for a bit.
See, I learned something new every day.
I mean, it's listen.
Hear it completely cartoony.
This is what the
We
people
talk
come for.
about the hard-hitting subject.
We haven't ever talked about
It's
some of
what
these
the
other.
Hard-hitting facts.
we haven't even talked about some of these other
very
shorts in
much
here.
what the people show up for here. I can tell you that.
You know, there's other great shorts in this Animatrix.
Are there? I don't think so. I think all you need to see is the beginning one and the ending one to get to where we're at now, and then pay attention to the kid as he's falling off the ledge. It's done.
Well, there's the world record one, which I also really like, because that's just an interesting idea of how to break out of the Matrix. Because when you think about like conspiracy people, right? I mean, it's always heady. It's always people like sitting there like it's like, oh, we got to think about this. But it's like this guy is able to break the Matrix because he's such a like athlete of a person that his brain is almost at like another level of pushing his body to do something, and then does it to like such an extreme extent that he like literally runs and like breaks out of the mold like in the real world in the middle of his run, which is so. And then the robots just pull him back in, which is like, oh.
So yeah, and like that's one that did like a lot with color that I really liked. What stood out for me the most in that is sort of like the stylistic choice. Particularly, I want to say it's when he's in the hospital, like his legs aren't working and they're rolling. Like the image that sticks with me is that nurse pushing him, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's
Where he's
like the
in
end,
she's
right?
pushing him through.
That's Tara Strong.
I knew that.
Is
I
it?
figured.
Ew.
I was like,
Yeah.
that sounds like Tara Strong. I didn't Google it, but I was like, that sounds like I know that voice. I know that voice.
So
She's such a great voice actress.
what stood out for me in that though is like it's in this total like grayscale, with the exception of like the red cross on her neck, like her necktie area.
Yeah.
And then her eyes have that red in it as well. And I'm a sucker for like good color play. Like I really am. The more I get into it, the more of a sucker I am for really good color. And I think the way they played with it there was pretty exceptional. And the frames in that look good. Like overall, the animation in this is top notch.
I mean, I think it's top notch all over the place. I mean, even the 3D in the beginning, somehow, I mean, that shit looks like it belongs in Love, Death, and Robots. And that was made 20 years ago when 3D was being a thing. You know what I mean? People were figuring this out. And here these guys are doing it at the top of its game.
Before anybody knew. And that would, not only was it great for then, exceptional at that point in time, it would hold up today.
I think so, yeah. I mean, because weirdly, I don't know about you guys, when I watched that opening, I don't get like a weird uncanny valley watching it.
No.
Which is like strange because it should. You know what I mean? But I don't feel that
in
way.
a weird way, it feels like a cutscene. It feels like a PlayStation game type cutscene a little bit. And then you're like, wow, it doesn't anymore.
Yeah. Like 100%. And I think what does that, Liz, or at least did it for me, because I got the exact same feeling. I was like, this belongs in a video game. And what it is it's like, I guess it's the way they jump you into that fight. It's like literally it's before the big fight happens. It's like you walk your character into that room, and the next thing you know, you're in this horny like sword fight. And they show you the part up to where everybody cuts their clothes off, and then it's like, now what do you do? Like press A to fight, press B to fuck.
Yeah.
Like it's one or the other. It's a choose your own adventure. But no, I did. I got the same feeling. And one of the things, and I know it's a weird thing to sort of call out, but because close-ups and things like that are really sort of hard to do, or I guess may have been harder to do, or hard enough to do to look right.
I mean, today it's still hard to do. Very much.
But there's a close-up. It's a close-up, I believe, of his foot. It's either his foot or her foot as they're like stepping into frame. And then you see the other one in the distance, right back behind them. And it's that classic sort of like dirty shot to sort of show you what's in the distance, and then you see this foot like step in. And I looked at that, and I'm not a foot guy. Anybody who's known me for any length of time, you keep your feet to yourself. I don't want nothing to do with them. They're just not for me. But when I saw that, I was like, that's good. I was like, that's good foot right there. They handed it to you proper. But it like proportionately.
Wait, can you say that in a Big Dan accent?
That's good foot right there. That's a man. I saw that foot, and I said, "God damn! I never seen feet like that before. I didn't know a robot could make foot that good." All right,
Big Dan Tarantino.
That's a Big Dan deal.
Yes.
But truly, it's one of those things where it's I would probably say the same thing about a good hand, or even like necks are another thing. Necks are a thing that can go empty or bland.
Well,
or
a lot
whatever,
too,
with no
because I learned
definition.
this. There was a movie that came out last year called The Creator, and they did a lot of like head replacements, like because it's supposed to be also about AI and whatever. So like half robots or whatever. But they had a problem with what they were doing with these people was that they were giving them these kind of robot heads, but they couldn't figure out why it looked so weird. And it ended up being because of the necks. And it was because how stretchy your neck is when you move and you talk, that they ended up leaving that part human, and then the rest of it would be robots. And then it started to feel like, okay, these are kind of real people, but AI robots. And so, yeah, it's like weird. You don't think about that kind of stuff, but then you don't see it and you're like, this is fucking weird. And yeah, so like, for this thing to make good faces and necks and feet, it's just like pretty insane for the minimal technology that was probably being invented at this time.
This was probably the height. This may have been the proving ground for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like truly, it may have been the proving ground for a lot of this, because if it fits into that matrixy kind of world, then it works, and you can mass produce it. You can take that style and then ship it out to these other places, or your production company becomes the one that is popping, is banging. You know what I mean? It is interesting to see like the homage that is paid to what came before, and then the level of innovation that takes place throughout this.
Now I do want to talk about
know,
too my favorite, because we haven't talked about this one. My favorite story is the noir one, the detective story. I mean, at first I think it's the most stylistic. I mean, there's also the one with the girl when she finds like the weird, like what they call the haunted house, and it's like just the glitch center of the Matrix going on, which is very fun. I like that one, but the detective one is just so cool and so stylized. Like it's grainy. It's not just like, oh, we're putting this in black and white. It's like really grainy and kind of like, but then the lights are blown out like perfectly. Like there's like a shot where he's like walking through the city, and it feels like you're watching like some 1940s New York City, where it's like black and white and the big lights are all blown out, so there's bright whatever, and he's just like walking down the street, but it still feels like the future. It's crazy.
Pulls it, and that is where like light play and shadow play factors in so greatly. And again, weirdly, it is a thing that I'm becoming increasingly familiar with. I recently
making a noir currently.
We're making a modern noir film in black and white as well. So it's gonna be very, very stylized. But that's the thing that I'm getting sort of into. I have a list of films that are now homework.
But I think this is a good thing. I would show this to people, man. I don't know, in production, because this is like such a good way to show noir in such a short time.
I'll send it over to the boss. I'll be like, hey, I know we're watching, Preminger, I forget his last name. Otto's Laura. Otto Preminger, I believe is his name. I might have my E and my R messed up. But we're watching like Laura. There's The Force of Evil, a couple of other ones from like 44 through like 47 that are like required watching. But that's when people were learning light and were really playing with light, you know? And to create those pools that people come through, it's no small feat. Anybody who's ever done anything, even on like a high school or a middle school stage where you've had lights, you know, like what the barn doors are for. You know what I mean? You know how to block your light a little bit. You know how to create some of this
Make it
stuff.
one of those like window shades, get those lines going.
My man, listen, you don't even know.
There'll be lines all over this movie.
They're gonna be everywhere. It's all gonna be just window shades. It's all gonna be blinds everywhere. Every scene, blinds.
Take that, Brian De Palma.
Well, okay, so not to give away too much because I really don't know what I can or can't say, but I will tell you one of the things that we are working on and that we're testing and that we're gonna have to figure out another noir sort of motif is rain. Either it be constantly raining, or either it be just having had rained, whatever.
Noir is always pretty wet.
Huh?
Noir is always a little wet.
Always a little wet. And listen, it gets me moist. So the thing there is it's like now we have to recreate that, and we have an effects person who sent over a video today. She's working with Derek and Bergio out there in Cleveland, but they sent some video today where they made it rain outside their window on a beautiful sunny day, and you know what? Looks fucking good, and looks good in black and white. Like, it looks great outside their window as it's coming down.
Are they coloring it? Like, because I know in some old movies they would use like black water to show up on so it would show up on black and white. Because water's clear, so sometimes it won't show necessarily.
Sometimes you won't see it. So no, we're not at this point. And I highly doubt we'll be able to use anything that potentially could stain outside of this, outside of our location. I'll just put it that way.
That's fair.
I am not going to pay to paint somebody's house. Will there be water? Yes. Will it look like rain? Sure. Hey, are we gonna add color to it to make it pop a little more? No. No. My insurance policy won't cover that. What are you talking about?
But I do love this detective story, though. And it is called A Detective Story, especially because I love how it ties into like the kind of the grand thing of the Matrix. I mean, it has Keanu Reeves also in this. Gotta love Keanu. Every time you hear his voice, I hear his voice, and then Angel starts singing somewhere, like.
Aww.
Well, I to be this deep into this, I mean, we do need to start wrapping up pretty soon. However, to be this deep into it and for this to really be the first time outside of you showing off your posters of Keanu Reeves to mention him this late in the game, all I can really say is everything that I've ever seen, heard, read, watched, witnessed, whatever, anything dealing with Keanu Reeves, the most genuine, I think, human being.
I hope so. Because, like we said, everything, we talked about it earlier with Diddy and some of these other fucks. It's just like, I mean, you don't know, right? I mean, you really don't know at the end of the day, but man.
You don't.
I really fucking hope so. Because if Keanu Reeves ends
there's
up...
so many positive stories about Keanu Reeves. You don't hear those super positive stories about people like
I just don't want to see some list.
You hear those about Keanu Reeves.
I just want to see some like flight log list and there's Keanu Reeves' name on it. That would kill me. I wouldn't trust anyone.
So, well, so here's an interesting thing about that, and this is the button I'll push in all day long, and the pill I'll pop. So if you look at if you look at a guy. Again, these allegations as of now, who knows when he's actually getting convicted, it'll happen. But if you look at what are allegations now against like a guy like P. Diddy, what you've heard for 30 years has been a level of darkness to it. Everything from he allegedly orchestrated the murder of Tupac on down the road. He's always been sort of associated with violence. There was the shooting inside that club when he was dating J-Lo that happened in the late 90s or whatever. There's always been this air of like controversy, this notion of like bad boy, right? The only time you would ever see anything good from him are these prepackaged pieces where, yeah, he may have donated, like 50 million to some charity or whatever, or how much money, 5 million and whatever he did. Those charitable works are always shown like on the news in these prepackaged pieces where it's like, oh, you don't need to talk about me like that. You don't know, whatever. Everything you've ever heard about Keanu Reeves has never been in a media package,
True.
right?
I guess that
It's
is very true.
somebody. It's a person. It's a regular person talking about something really nice that he did for them, or some really nice experience that they had with him.
Or even
Always.
he gave me his seat on the subway. That's the Keanu Reeves news story, right?
Right.
He gave his seat on the subway.
And
And that's a man that's been marked with tragedy
yeah.
his
in his life. I mean, he's had obviously a lot of good fortune, and he's a very wealthy man, but he's been marked with a lot of tragedy.
And I will tell you guys this, if you don't now, get your phones out and get on his TikTok.
He has a TikTok?
I didn't know he had a TikTok.
I thought
Guys.
Keanu Reeves was off social media.
Do yourselves a favor. I hope it's still up. And he might be largely, but there was a point in time, and it may have started like pandemic, or it may have been after or whatever. Keanu Reeves has fun on TikTok. And
Aw.
like,
Oh, that's
He deserves
awesome.
it.
he's done everything from like silly little duet, but it's 100% him. It's not run by some like PR firm. He was doing goof 'em ups in like his living room one day and like just enjoying it.
Yeah,
and
I
just putting out these little 1 minute things for
Because he
people.
doesn't do like podcast things very much or interviews, but like every time I see him do one, or the rarity he's on a podcast, how genuinely happy he is when he talks about things he likes. I listened to him on this like action movie podcast, and just like how passionate he is just about talking about action movies and like why they matter and how much he loves his stunt guys and stuff like that. And like, it's just insane. He gifted he has different tiers of people in John Wick that he gifts things to, like all the stunt guys, like depending how many times he's killed them in all the movies because they reused the same stunt guys.
Wow.
So like he has like people are in like, the couple $1,000 club or whatever, and then he gives them like a watch that has like the amount of times he's murdered them, or some crew gets like a jacket for the amount of times he's murdered them. All in his own pocket.
Yeah. That's not a thing that anybody is telling him to do either. That's just being a nice guy.
Yeah.
That's just being cool. And
Be
he
a
understands.
Keanu, not a Diddy.
Be a Keanu.
If you take anything from this episode whatsoever, take that.
Yeah. In this world, right? Be a Keanu. No Diddy.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. But that should go, a very long distance for a person, I think. And I think it does. I think it shows. I also have an immense amount of respect for a person who can maintain that level of privacy in their lives for themselves in order to keep their humanity and their happiness inside of a machine that will suck it from you completely. So there you go. All right, friends. We are getting to a point, though, to where we do need to wrap up here. James, we'll borrow a thing from your show. We usually don't necessarily rate things here. We just like to talk about it and say, would you like to watch it again? Would you recommend it to people? That's what I do here. But tonight, let's borrow your rating system, James. What would you, if you had to do this, if it was your show we were on, what would you rate this?
Success.
Because I would give it a huge success. I mean, like I said earlier, I love The Matrix. Fuck the sequels, but the first movie is just innovative. It's awesome. I love Keanu Reeves, and what I love about this is that it adds so much more to the story of the Matrix without being annoying about it or adding too much that I don't give a shit about. Because what I like about it is that all these characters exist in the same world, but a lot of them die. None of them really make it. And I think it really opens up this world. Like we talked about, like the detective story, like that clearly happens before Neo, like before Keanu Reeves. And it's like this detective, like at least for Trinity, almost seems like he's going to be the one until the agents take over his body for a second. Then she's like, "Oh, you're not who I thought you were. You know, you would have been great in all this if you could have made it." And then she shoots him so the agents don't take over him. And that's the kind of like dark twistedness I love about this. When like none of these heroes really win very often. I mean, the girl in the beginning, you know, the whole crew, they die in the beginning of this. You know, no, they don't make it out. And
Yeah.
so that's what I really appreciate most about this. Plus the art's amazing. Like I said, and like you said earlier too, Liz, about how much the Matrix like stole from anime. And I love that it became full circle where they're like, all right, now let's just make an anime with the people we stole it from. So yeah, the big.
Do you
big
think maybe
success.
that is a nod to put some money in their pockets? You know, hey guys, we took your stuff, we took your IP, we took your action, we took your everything, we melded it into one thing. Here's a little bit of money to say thank you.
But we'll keep the residuals for
Yeah.
the film itself. We'll pay you. It's like session work. We'll pay you for what you've done, but we'll keep the residuals.
We
on the
keep
film.
the rest. We keep the rest.
Yeah, I do have
So, Liz,
two, I just want to say one quick story before we roll up. The last movie I ever watched with my grandfather before he passed was the last Matrix movie. And it came out on Max. You know, they did it was still during that double release thing they were doing. And I remember I was like, "Grandpa, we got the new Matrix." You know, yeah, the Matrix. He was like, "All right." You know, he likes the Matrix. He likes action movies. So he put it on, falls asleep. You know, probably like 30 minutes into it, and then it ends. And I remember him coming up to me like after it was over. He was like, "Why did you make me watch this?" And I was like, "I'm sorry. I thought it's the Matrix. It was supposed to be good." And I'll never forget that moment of like, "Why did you make me watch this?"
Why? Why did I sit here? What are we doing? This is no guy. Thanks for the nap.
Yeah,
That's what he said. Thanks for the nap. Liz, how does this stack up for you?
I would say this is a success.
Oh, I don't have. Oh, I'm almost there. I put my phone down.
Oh,
Almost there. The app didn't open. There it is.
See, usually we run
Success.
a much tighter ship here
Success.
on Completely Cartoony. It's when I throw things for a loop
Success.
and want to add in
Success.
what you do. And we can't even hear it. I couldn't even hear it.
Success.
I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
You still don't
I don't
hear
think
it?
you're actually pressing a button.
Success.
It's playing.
Success.
I think you're just slowing us down.
It's
I think
the
what
curse
you're
of
doing
completely
this is,
cartoony.
this is
Because I hear it, so
sabotage.
I know it's playing.
This is sabotage.
Sabotage.
Is what it is.
Success.
That's completely what it is. So, Liz, a massive success for you as well, right?
Well, it is much better than the Matrix itself, to be honest. I'm not a Matrix person. I'm a Matrix person for Keanu Reeves. I think he's stellar in the film. I think old Larry Fishburne is stellar.
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
Morpheus.
I don't. It never really. I never really gave it much afterthought, and I understood where it was coming from when it came out because I was an anime nerd. So I appreciate that they did bring in these legendary, these legendary names in anime to create these 9 short films, and give them a little bit of the American spotlight because they deserved it. That said, they deserved a hell of a lot more. So it's a weird wishy-washy feeling for me, but I believe that this is a great film overall, and each of these segments holds its own.
Yeah.
Like there's
100%.
not a bad short
No.
in this film.
And you start gathering like that level of talent. You start putting it all together, Liz.
Mhm.
It's like it smells of hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But weirdly, it
And
wasn't. This movie was not a hit. It didn't. It had a
I
limited
don't
release.
think the game really was either. Like there were dudes that were like real heavy into it there for a little bit, and then they just didn't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
But
So-
that's more of a statement to what do you call that when you go from one thing, attention spans. There you go.
America,
America. Yes.
American audiences.
Oh, Reeve says it's playing. I
Yeah,
just
see?
can't hear it in my cans.
It's your guys'
I don't
fault, not
hear
my
it, but-
fault.
Yay! I'm glad it's playing.
But that's a huge thing. You're absolutely right. Once it starts to cater to an American audience, it begins to lose certain things that maybe isn't so concerned about artistry as it is about consumption. A
Right.
lot of times you lose that. You lose a lot of it, and I think
Against
it can
the
be.
really shitty sequels of The Matrix.
Oh, it's so bad.
Exactly.
It literally makes no sense. Like somehow
No.
the story in this makes maybe understand the Matrix more than anything those sequels ever did. Like the Watcher, whatever the fuck that guy is, he has that monologue that still to this day it literally doesn't make any sense. I'll never understand what he says.
So for me, I'm going to tell you, I do think it is very much a success as well.
Success.
Success.
See, now you hear it.
No, that was me.
Oh, 'cause I played at the same time.
Yeah,
That's
that
why
was
I
me.
thought you.
That's good.
Oh, that's perfect. No, I just know when you're hitting a button anymore. We've gotten too familiar with it.
Success.
But no, again, yeah, same thing. Just to echo you guys, this was it's a great watch. I like the fact that the stories are short. I like the fact that they're interesting. I dig the way this sort of fits in overall into the overarching story of the Matrix. I don't know. I loved it. I thought it was great. Very much.
Success.
Now I heard it.
Now I
what
heard
the
it.
fuck is happening?
Yeah, I figured it
James?
out. It turns out I don't know what you guys have been listening to this whole time, but my microphone has not been plugged into Skype apparently. Even though it's been playing through my mixer is hooked up to this stream, so everyone in there gets to hear me. But for some reason, you guys just heard something.
Wild. That is absolutely wild. And guys, that's why you sit here for 2
Success.
hours so James can figure it all out. All right. Anyway, James, we need to know, what are you watching next week on your show? Maybe
So-
I'll show up.
It's kind of funny because I didn't plan this, but you kind of talked about it earlier in the episode. I want to
Oh.
watch the Hulk Hogan Rock and Wrestling.
Hell yeah!
So it kind of brings it all back around.
Wow. You want to talk about a show going full circle in a night, friends? You will never get that again. You only get that type of true entertainment, true planning right here on Completely Cartoony.
Yeah, we haven't gone old school in a minute. I've never seen this ever. So I'm excited to
Man.
watch it. And it's streaming free, the good old Internet Archive. So it's all, I think it's like 13 episodes.
Yes. And listen, I'm going to tell you, to any of you out here that are listening, watching, I'm sure this crew, those two words combined, I think the folks here understand and know that Internet Archive is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I love it. So I'll tell you real quick before we get out of here. I got really very stoned one night, long time ago. I was sitting on the couch. I was cruising through, and I decided to look up the Troma website just to see where all it had been archived or whatever. And it goes deep on the Troma website, like how far back the archive actually goes. I was able to find like pages that are long since dead, but the way they'd archived it, some of those links were still kind of hot. So you could actually like go deeper into the page. It's not just the main page.
Nice.
You can still click some things and it archived parts of it. I was able to find snippets of the old Troma webcam show that we used to do from The Office. Like every
Wow.
Wednesday, we would do what we called the Trauma, Sex, and Violence webcam show.
So it's like this, but 20 years ago.
Actually, no. Lloyd wanted us to. He very much wanted us to come up with story, but it's an old webcam, so the webcam would only take a picture like every 7 seconds.
Oh, it was like a picture.
You know? Yeah. And we would go live on that thing, and literally we would have 7 seconds between each image to like swap things out. So literally we would take like the webcam, move it over here, set up the next shot. Boom, that's the next bit of our story. Boom, over here, that's the next bit of our story. So we had to move as everybody would leave the office at like 5 p.m. All of a sudden we moved in all of our shit, and we would do everything from fucking we would do some light effects in there. We would get kind of gross with it. Like we had some good times, man. And you can find a lot of that on there. There's actually me stuffing a mop handle up a Swedish intern's butt on there still. So you can
Nice.
find that there.
Wow.
The Great Internet Archive.
Everything you ever wanted, right? Anyway, friends, next week on Totally Tunular, we're talking Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling. And this has been another episode of Completely Cartoony. James, Liz, thank you both for being here tonight.
Woo!
You guys, this is all Kyle's mom's fault. Shut up, Cartman. Kyle's mom is the one that started that damn club, and all because she's a big, fat, stupid bitch.